Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Curse of the Collector, because the curse is real, folks. We've got the crew in the house. Let me introduce them all. We've got all the way from Texas. We've got Scott Berry from Canada, Armando Venditti. We've got
Hello.
Jamie Laszlo, the Prince of Props. We've got Nick Yusofian, and we have all the way from Scotland, Mr. David Gallagher. Howdy, everybody.
Good day.
Hi, hi.
Hey,
Guys ready
Pete,
to
what's
show
up?
some stuff today, as always.
As always.
That's
Yeah,
good
We
let's
do
stuff.
these once a month to give everybody enough time to accumulate some, some goodies, and we generally
plenty of
will
time
stop.
for purse snatching.
Yeah, so we'll, like we always do, we'll go 2 times around. Each time, each person will show off what they got. So we'll go in the exact same order I just introduced everybody. So we'll go Scott, Armando, Jamie, Nick, Davey, and myself, and then we'll go one last time around. So Scott, kick us off with your first show and tell of the day.
Very good, sir. All right. Well, looking back at our previous episodes, we're on episode 7. The previous 6, I often do a one pick that's an SOT oriented pick, and then I'll do one that's kind of off the reservation. And this one's going to be no exception. My first pick is one I've been looking forward to doing for several months now. I discovered this band 20 years ago when this album was first released. So Wilco, Yankee Hotel Foxtrot.
Okay.
And
Cool.
I'm going to be talking today about this big, gigantic, mammoth, gargantuan box set that just came out.
Jesus.
8 discs. At the time I first heard this album, I'd become a bit disenchanted and downright bored with a lot of new music, and I wasn't hearing or getting a whole lot of new releases. And there were times that it either kind of worn out their welcome with me, or they just weren't grabbing me to begin with. And this particular album had been getting a lot of buzz, and I had a couple of friends that were already fans of the band, and they had recommended it to me. I wasn't sure quite what to make of it when I first heard it, but it quickly grew on me. I was soon buying up their back catalog, as well as the back catalog of frontman Jeff Tweedy's previous band, Uncle Tupelo. And I had a blast taking in those albums and hearing the musical evolution that took place over the previous decade or so. But this particular album had gone through an evolution of its own well before it was released. When most bands go into the studio, the approach is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Wilco said, it ain't broke, but let's break it and put it back together again and see what happens.
Why not?
Exactly. And the band had already been branching out further and further from the alt rock, or excuse me, the alt country sound of their debut album, and on each, for each new release. And this was a giant leap forward. So it was such a big leap forward that their label Reprise passed on the album. And multi-instrumentalist Jay Bennett, who'd been a key part of the creative process of the band, had been fired midway through these sessions. Sessions went on for over a year. And while the band was searching for a new label, they posted the album online, one of the first bands to do that. There's an early version of the album, posted on their website, and eventually the label None Such bought Wilco out of their contract and released the album physically. When the album finally hit stores, it was a different version than that online version. And that brings us to the 20th anniversary release of this box set, 8 CDs worth, with a big ass book of photos.
Wow.
And chronology of the sessions,
Holy
interviews with you get the original album remastered, and it sounds amazing. And each of discs 2 through 4 are different versions of the album, and any one of those could have been the official release. I believe disc 4, Theory of Everything. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Davey. But the other 2 had never been officially released before. Each one is unique with different arrangements, tempos, instrumentation, and in some case lyrics than the versions on the official release. And there are quite a few previously unreleased songs that didn't make the final cut. So yeah, it's just a treasure trove. And it's just a remarkable evolution to hear. Disc 5 is made up of demos, early versions of the songs in rudimentary stages, basically just throwing out ideas and seeing what stuck to the wall. It's interesting, but that'll probably be the one I play the least moving forward. Disc 6, that's hard to say. Transmissions,
It is.
an interview with the band on a radio show with a few songs performed live in the studio. And disc 7 and 8, it's called Snoozing at the Pageant. It's a little inside joke. It's outstanding live show from the YHF tour performed at the pageant in St. Louis. And it's nice to finally have a live show from that tour. I had a couple of bootlegs, but bootlegs, they don't sound so great. Their music began as all country, like I said before, picking up where Uncle Tupelo left off. But they quickly expanded beyond that, adding more experimental guitar and keyboard sounds, Beatlesque melodies. This set strikes a nice balance between the melodic and the cacophonous. Radiohead is often cited as an influence on this album.
Massive on that album, yeah.
I believe they were an inspiration, but Davey, nobody's got to mistake Jeff Tweedy for Tom York.
No, but you can definitely tell that's the musical sound collage they're going for on Yankee.
Right. And it's not headbanging metal or hard rock, but it's music that I think really rewards the patient listener. And many of their songs tend to have this slow build before they kind of come to a crescendo. Like I'm Trying to Break Your Heart's a good example of that, or Poor Places. And they've got some rockers and upbeat crowd pleasers as well. So it's not all slow stuff. And unlike some boxes where they have a couple of discs I'll end up playing with any regularity, I suspect I'll play most of these pretty frequently. Like I said, that demo's one, it's okay. I pre-ordered a set through Waterloo Records for $90. And that's my first pick.
Fantastic. And it sounds amazing. It sounds it's one of the best remasters I've heard in a long, long time. It's one of those, a bit like my review of Animals and then Pete, your review of Animals as well. We both said, I didn't even know it needed a remaster until I heard this. That's exactly the way I feel about Yankee Hotel Foxtrot's remaster.
Yeah, I was a little surprised at that. Usually I think, well, if it's just been done in the last 20, 25 years, is it really a remaster, But it's I'm noticing a lot of you could hear the different instruments a lot more clearly. There's more distinction.
All right, Armando.
Well, Bob was going to join me on this episode, but because the dog started barking, I kicked them all out of the room. It's like, you're gone. I can do this. He's like, you can do this on your own? Yes, I can do this on my own. I'll do my best, ladies and gentlemen. My first pick of the day is from Toto. Watching Pete's episode about a month ago with Stephen Reed and Simon Bray on the UK Connection. They were talking, I believe it was Toto's, their least best in wildcard picks for Toto. And I thought, I've known of Toto for, obviously, who hasn't heard of Toto, but I thought instead of just buying maybe one or two albums, why not get the whole bloody thing, the whole bloody catalog? So what we have here, I'm going to try and lift it up to the camera here, is the box set, all in. This is a 13-disc set, came out in 2018. It has from self-titled up until from 78 up until 2018's Old is New. What's exclusive to this set is a live EP of 5 tracks live in Tokyo. And the Old is New is also a compilation of re-recorded stuff. There are 10 tracks, and 7 of which are previously unreleased. And I've heard up until I've been listening to the package off and on slowly, and I've heard about 3 of the albums. And I mean, these guys, people really don't, if you really don't know the history of Toto, they started out as session musicians in LA. And they finally decided to, well, why don't we just form a group and start recording, and try and get a recording contract. The music on these albums and the musicianship, unreal. Rosanna in Africa, those 2 tracks notwithstanding, I mean, those were big hits from Toto 4, but I mean, just the quality of the music on these albums is just fantastic. So I ordered this, quick story, I ordered this from my local record shop, Sunrise, at West Edmonton Mall, a year ago. And I was willing to pay, it was going for like $160. I was willing to pay it, but they canceled the orders from like a year ago. They couldn't fulfill it. So I found this on Discogs for 49 euro.
All right.
So converted it, I paid literally $86 for this set. And again, you get the entire, I'll show it again. Hold on. My hands aren't working this morning, guys. But you get the entire Columbia Records catalog, again, 13 albums. And for $86, you can't go wrong. So, and again, all I can say, guys, on Amazon, this is also going for like 150. So you really got to shop around, right? And just read the fine print is all I'm going to say. So, yeah, that's my first choice for today. You won't be disappointed, guys.
Buyer beware.
Buyer beware, yeah, pretty much.
I own 1 Toto album, and anybody who knows me can guess what it is. It's the Dune soundtrack, which I own 3 times because Dune just too. The space must flow. So I keep buying Dune stuff. So.
I think you need more Toto in your collection, Davey. So many albums.
Not in Kansas anymore.
But all I need is the greatest hits. They're one of those bands for me where I just need
they're
kind of
those
bands.
On
that.
And Isolation, just so I can have Stranger in Town.
Yeah, but I mean, there are those bands that you could say, okay, I just need or want the greatest hits. But there are those where you hear some album tracks and you think, I want to investigate some more. And this is one of those bands, right?
I will say that you get very little in the greatest hits collection for Toto. Go out today or tomorrow and listen to the Kingdom of Desire album from 19.
I have it.
Yeah.
I've heard it, but I don't know. It's okay.
I may just buy another copy of the Dune soundtrack. I don't have a picture disc.
I have the Dune soundtrack on sand-colored vinyl.
Oh, I've got.
One thing about Toto, those guys are amazing studio musicians, and they have appeared on so many albums. Probably, I know they're on Thriller. I think they played on Steely Dan albums.
Lionel Richie,
can't slow down.
I mean, Barbara Streisand. I mean, they've worked with so many, like Steve
Lukather and the Porcaro brothers have played on everything.
They've worked with so many diverse artists. I mean,
right,
for the price,
across different genres,
right?
Yeah.
So,
Lukather's always one of those guys who's on every tribute album ever made to anyone ever as well.
Oh, yeah. He never says no.
Yeah, he's got stories behind him, man.
As long as there's a paycheck coming, man, Luke is like, I'll do it.
Hey, if you're a guitar slinger and it's a job, why not?
Yeah. I remember the interview quickly that Pete did with Lukather, Steve Lukather, a year ago. I laughed my ass off.
Oh yeah, he's a character.
Because he takes you on a journey. You know what I mean? Like you think you're starting in a safe place, and you go through all these different. It's like, oh, I did this, I did this. Like, Holy
He's
shit.
just got such a conversational, I don't know why people don't like me. I think maybe because I put my foot in my mouth all the time. I don't know, but
Does he watch the channel? Because if so, I love those Toto albums. I love them
Yeah.
all. I love the deep cuts.
Yeah.
Love it
Jim
all.
Jim was
I don't want to
Good
put my
pitch,
foot in my
Jamie, good
mouth.
pitch.
Certainly
Good
doesn't
pitch.
this anymore. I'll say that.
You sounded a little like Rodney Dangerfield there.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
I ain't got no
Still get
respect.
no
now.
respect.
No respect for
but-
Toto. No respect.
That's kind of how Lukather talks. He's just like, hey man, it's like he's
Yeah,
a
but
cool character.
again, in closing, for the price, $86 Canadian, and for what you
The whole
get,
catalog, yeah.
you
Yeah.
get, what, you can't go wrong. Under $100.
About half what you were gonna pay.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's rare for me, under 100. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Good choice. Jamie.
All right. At the time of filming, it's Saturday, so the bar is open. I got a very big game on as a Penn State fan, Penn State, Michigan. So if my eyes veer to the right, I'm paying attention. I'm just multitasking. I'm watching the game too. Like Thursday night, I was watching the Penn's home opener as everyone was talking. Some people were like, Jamie ain't paying attention. I was watching the Penguins as well. So we just got back from Fall Fest not too long ago, Sea of Tranquility Fall Fest. And I think we're all still buzzing just a little bit from that. So I was going to show what I picked up there. And first of all, I had to get this for the wall. Sea of Tranquility poster with all the bands on there.
that's cool.
Yep. And I think I'll get a little frame for it so it doesn't get too jacked up just being on the wall. So I keep that upstairs. And
You didn't get that signed by anybody, huh?
No, I didn't get it signed, but I did get some other stuff signed.
Cool.
gonna be
I
there
believe
next year.
these are still available. Pete,
Yes.
the Tranquility Fall Fest t-shirts.
Yep.
So you can pretend you were there if you buy them
Yeah.
online. But if anyone comes up to you and says, "Didn't Nectar rock?" Don't say yes.
Yeah, just
Give you away that you weren't there.
Yeah.
You did not play.
I happen to miss that performance. Just say that, right? I just
They went on too
wasn't
late, and I
there
was
for
so
that.
tired. It was a long day. So
yeah, exactly. I got there late.
And
I was
then
at the bar.
I wasn't going to buy this, especially since they were $50 and they go for 34 down the street at my record store. But Chris Caffrey was sitting there next to the albums ready to sign any albums you buy. And Rich Catino was like, go buy it. Go buy it. And I had some beers in me. So I was up there, all right. And I got that
Blame it
Dead
on the
Winter
beers.
Dead by Sabotage, and I got Chris to sign it there. Can you see?
Yeah.
And I told him, I said, Rich Catino talked me into this. You should give him 30% of the sale. So there you go. I got that. It's on orange vinyl, and these are really nice. I almost bought some other ones like months ago because they just look nice. And this one came with a replica of a poster from their 1996 European tour with all the dates down there.
Oh wow, that's nice.
Cool.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. They could have just done a regular poster, but to make it like a replica of the tour poster, then you got this whole thing of stuff I'll never read in there, but it's kind of cool to have. So yeah, I mean, it's got having it signed. It's worth the $50, I guess, and it's kind of like a memento to that whole weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went up to the Vanilla Fudge booth, and Carmine Appice was standing there, and the drum heads were there, Vanilla Fudge drum heads, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna have him sign it.
Yeah.
He said I rock, so I must rock. So he signed it because I thought it would look really cool next to my Carl Palmer when I met him in 2019 drumhead. So there you
Nice.
go. They're up
Do you have enough
side by
there,
side
Jim?
on the wall now. So yeah, there's my stuff I got
That's
from
a nice
Paul.
little haul. Yeah.
That's cool. It is cool.
And just so everybody knows, the original idea was that we were going to have more like vendors there selling stuff, which didn't really work out as we would have hoped. But if we do it again next year or whenever, I really want to get lots of people there selling stuff.
Oh,
So
yes. And one
that's
more
part
thing.
of the whole thing,
Yeah.
you go, you buy stuff.
Nectar did have their booth up of merch, And this is before the sound system blew and everyone thought we're going to go on as it planned. I bought a damn shirt.
Yep.
5 minutes later, it's like they sold the monkey's paw to me. Where did the booth go?
That is a nice
But it is a
shirt.
badass shirt.
It
Because
is.
I guess
It
they're
is.
doing
I got
album
one too.
sides and you see the needle there.
Yeah.
Like the thing looks like a vinyl album with the needle coming.
Yeah.
Dates on the side. So I'm still glad I have it because it's cool looking.
Yeah. I got
Actually,
one.
that's a good album. I've heard that album. It's really
Yeah, I think it's their best album.
Yeah.
Mhm.
For the future. Killer. Nice. All right, Nick, you're up.
Alrighty. Well, I'm a straight to the point type of person. That's how I've always been all my life. But sometimes a guy likes to experiment. So sometimes when I get home from work, I like to watch videos where people open box sets. I don't know. It's like scenery porn. It's like scenery porn for me for whatever reason. Like how some people will post pictures of food and stuff like that. I like to watch unboxing. It's therapy. It's relieving in a way. So
good.
there's this
Scenery
one.
porn.
Yeah, scenery porn. Like when Everglades and meadows and
Ah,
stuff like that.
got you. Okay.
Okay.
All right, so Peter Hamill is, of course, a Van de Graaff generator. We all know that. He's pretty much the front man. He has an extensive career. So I was looking at what is the most bombastic, over-the-top album that he has done solo, not with VDGG, VD, whatever. The Fall of the House of Usher. This is based off the 1839 Edgar Allan Poe of the same name.
Mhm.
Oh my word. Okay. This is divided into 21 songs with a total running time of 76 minutes and 47 seconds. I just got it this week because of it's an opera by Peter Hamill, libretto by Chris Judge Smith from the tale by Edgar Allan Poe. Now, what's going on in the original poem? And it came apart and I paid $35 for this. Then again, so I'm just like, you know what? How many times are you going to see this? It's got
Never even heard that he did that. That's news to me.
I'm gonna look that up actually.
Yes, it has to do, some of the themes of this poem have to do with like paranoia, fear, self-doubt, and it stars 3 people, an unnamed narrator, and then Madeline Usher and Roderick Usher, and Rick's been entombed inside the house for so long. It seems like the house is haunted, but again, it all has to do with his mental state. In between a massive amount of a chorus, when Madeline comes on, you can immediately hear like the intensity swirl. You can hear the paranoia of when Usher is describing his fear. There's a whole choral background effect. I'm trying to remember if there was like, it's like the chorus. Montessor, who is the narrator, Roderick Usher, Madeline Usher, the herbalist, and the voices of the house are done by Peter Hamill, of course. Is there an orchestra? I am trying to recall. I believe that there was. So, I mean, when you want to talk about bombastic and over the top of just prog rock at its excess in 1992, for whatever reason, he decided to do this. 1991. Yeah, Philip Glass also did something, but I'm not the biggest Philip Glass fan in the world. I've listened to some of his music, it's fine, but I'd rather have a bombastic, over the top, true definition of progressive rock. So Paul the House of Usher by Peter Hamill.
Philip Glass is a little repetitive.
Yeah, I love his Candyman score.
That's an interesting thing there, Nick. I never even knew he did that.
I've never even heard that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I'll tell you,
I'm
Vincent
contacting
Price
Chris
should make
right
a
now.
movie of it.
Yeah.
Someday, right?
Sounds pretty cool.
And this way, he's perfectly suited for it. That's why I think it's kind of neat, because like I'm surprised he hasn't done more stuff like that. You know?
Yeah.
Pretty cool. All right, Davey.
It must have been a fight for those prog guys to, you know, what classic novel can I adapt? Well, I'll do the Knights of the Round Table and all right. I'll do, you know, Jesus. Just do songs, people. Just do songs. Whatever happened to Maybe Baby, I Love You? My first pick is the new album from a terrific jazz musician called Julian Lage. It's called View with a Room. And if anyone isn't familiar with Julian, he's kind of been taking the jazz world quietly by storm, although being the jazz world you do so in a very reserved, polite manner.
Yeah.
So he is trying to bring back this sound of Charlie Christian, Django Reinhardt, where it's guitar led, but it's not fusion guitar led, which a lot of people think that jazz guitar has to be post fusion era. So he's taking it back to its roots. The last 5 years, he's made a whole bunch of albums with John Zorn, more expensive experimental stuff. But this album features 10 tracks, 8 of which have Bill Frisell on it, which Bill Frisell is one of the most eclectic and talented guitar players on earth. So you've got a really esoteric player in Julian Lage, and then you've got Bill Frisell, who's one of the most reliable veterans. He can play any genre. It mostly sticks to jazz, but he has been a session guy on rock, country, blues. I think he's done hip hop. He's literally everything. So Bill Frisell and Julian formed this. It's a kind of double retro idea. They wanted to go back to the sounds of the 50s and have that very quiet studio ambience, but also have a kind of quiet, loud feel to it as well. So in that regard, they're doing more of a Wes Montgomery type thing. So it's almost like Wes Montgomery and Grant Green kind of sounds playing off against each other, which is just fascinating, and it's just an amazing listen. The rhythm section are just insane on it. It is a fantastically upbeat and vibrant jazz album, but it's not fusion. It's not one for the 4 Fusion crowd, Friday crowd, but it is a wonderful sunny jazz album with some of the most amazing guitar playing you hear this year. Just not flashy. You know, it's flashy in a completely different way to the normal type of effects, pedals, and blah 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 that you may get on more rock based jazz fusion type stuff. This is just essential, wonderful old school jazz guitar playing that I cannot recommend highly enough. View with the Room by Julian Lage just came out a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I haven't heard that yet. That's a good pick, Davey, because he's I've got 3 or 4 of his albums, and I was turned on to him by one of my customers in my day job, actually, about 3-4 years ago, who found out I like guitar music and discovered the channel, right? And I like your description of using Grant Green there, because I think that Julian music is not fusion-y at all, but it's like you know, jazz guitar, like a 60s flavor, but he presents it in a very like kind of commercial way. I often mention Pat Metheny when I talk about him as well. Not that they sound alike, but they're presenting this like vintage jazz guitar style for more commercial oriented ears. I think really tasty player, very melodic. He usually plays a Telecaster most of the time, and he's really lyrical way of phrasing and things like that. So I got to check that out, because Bill Frisell too.
If you watch the music videos for it, it's literally, they know exactly what a jazz hand wants, because it's just literally the 3-piece band playing and you get to see every little bit in the fretboard. It's like, it's like boom, 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 boom. And he's now on Blue Note, which, what a perfect label for Julian to be on. So
very cool. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome.
I gotta check that out, actually, because when you mentioned Pat Metheny, that's like a reference point, right? Like that's how.
Yeah, and again, Armando, the music doesn't really sound like Metheny, but it's Metheny has this way of kind of making his music very, very approachable and accessible, even though it's still jazz at its core, but he uses like, you know, pop and Brazilian influences and things. And Julian does a similar type thing where he's taking like vintage jazz sounds, but he's injecting some kind of pop sensibility in his music that makes it very, very accessible, I think, is the best way I can say. Again, their styles don't really sound the same.
Come from the Grant Green, Wes Montgomery side more than the Pat Metheny side, I'd say. If you're
I'm hearing David Sanborn on guitar is what I'm imagining. Not like that, not smooth jazz on guitar.
No, it's not. We're not talking smooth jazz. It's just more old school jazz trio kind of stuff. Again, Blue Note. You know, it just sounds perfect for Blue Note.
David,
quickly, I mean, he does have a couple albums, Jamie, where that might be the case. Like I think one that is kind of smooth jazz-ish, but I haven't heard this new one, so this one sounds a little bit more old school, traditional. So
yeah, when you get Bill Frisell on there as well.
I was just gonna ask you, David, how do you say his last name? Julian.
So I mean, it's Lage.
I think it's Lage. Yeah,
Lage.
Yeah.
Okay. No.
Lage.
Lage.
I go all over the place with him.
He's a fairly young guy too. I mean, he's he hasn't been around all that long.
Some people are calling him the Joe Bonamassa of the jazz scene, and I think that's just lazy because he's 40 years younger than most of the guys in the same scene as him. But hey, that's what it is.
Guy, though. Yeah, check him out. He's really, really good.
Cool. Amazon, here I come.
That one. All right, so my first choice for today, I just got this week, so I'm still kind of making my way through it. I have never, ever bought anything by the Byrds.
Right? Oh,
wow.
Never owned anything by the Byrds. And I am actually reading a Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young biography right now that's pretty damn interesting. And
is it by David Brown?
What's that?
Is it by David Brown?
I don't remember who wrote it. I don't know. It's got the four of them, a live shot on the front.
Yes, that's the one. Yeah, it's a brilliant book.
So, they do talk a little bit about, the early part of their career before they formed that band. And of course, that there's all these other bands that these guys were in before they became. So anyway, David Crosby was a member of the Byrds, and at least in the early part. So I'm kind of reading this, and I've always known a lot of Byrds songs from the radio. I've never bought anything by them. So I said, let me go see if they have like a collection or something that I can, rather than going out and buying all the individual ones. So I found on Amazon
Columbia.
for $33.
Yeah, the Columbia epic. Yeah.
The complete, all 11 albums.
Sweet.
Really?
$33. I was like amazed. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna get a clamshell box. It comes with a very cool booklet which tells you the whole story of the bands, all the information about the albums, who plays on them, blah blah blah, pictures. And then what I really like about this is it comes with it, obviously you get like the little mini LP sleeve, but they're like hard, like heavy duty cardboard stock.
Yeah,
really nice. And some of them do open up, like you get like not this one. I think a couple of them are gatefolds.
Yeah, it'll be like Untitled's a gatefold.
Yeah, later. But they're all really, really well done, and they perfectly replicate the original albums. And they're all here, which is really cool. So I'm not going to go through all of them.
Cool.
Obviously,
yeah,
but
it's cool.
Notorious Byrd Brothers, that's great.
Yeah, this and it's really cool because it's basically, if you're an old vinyl person, right? These look exactly like those old vinyl, and you can tell. I mean, this band was around the '60s, so if you look at kind of the back, this is how a lot of the albums looked in the back in the '60s, right? You would get all this stuff rather than have like a sleeve on the inside that gave you all that info. You would get it would be right on the back, and then they got all the Columbia stamp on.
Yeah.
So really, if you if rather than go out and just buy a greatest hits set from the Byrds, which will give you all the radio hits, but you're missing so much else, and you want to kind of take a dive into the music of the Byrds. So this is the way to go. You get Mr. Tambourine Man, Turn, 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 Fifth Dimension, Younger Than Yesterday, the Notorious Byrd Brothers, Sweetheart of the Rodeo, Dr. Byrds and Mr. Hyde, Ballad of Easy Rider, Untitled, Unissued, Byrd Maniacs, and Farther Along. So
nice.
Yeah. Brilliant.
I still
the only one that is missing is the Asylum album they did in '73, where the original lineup reunited with Crosby and Gene Clark. So that's the only album that's not included.
Yeah. So
I do have an original. Well, it's an early pressing, probably from the early '70s, still sealed.
Nice.
Yeah, I just bought it.
Turn that over. Turn that over, Jamie. So as you can see, like kind of what I just showed you.
Yeah.
It's the exact same. They've basically, that's what they've done.
Well, you know what you're going to be showing off next month, Pete? Your new Hollies box set.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
you've done Buffalo Springfield at least.
Yeah, he's making his way. You need all the Crosby Nash albums now.
Oh, I love some of the Crosby Nash albums.
I got that one.
Yeah,
I did buy the Buffalo Springfield box. In fact, did I show that off on a previous episode? I don't even remember. If I
well, you ranked the albums, so
I did, and that's what I ranked them from. Yeah, so I did buy that. But yeah, this is pretty cool. Pretty cool. So
fantastic.
Cool. Yeah.
Unreal. Yeah.
So Sony
That's
Legacy.
A nice pick, Pete.
box.
Here.
And it must
I'm going to
have
add that to my list now.
It
I've
must be
only
the
got
bonus tracks.
Hey man, for
first
33
greatest
bucks, you
hits.
can't beat it.
Yeah.
I've only got the first greatest hits and Sweetheart of the Rodeo. So
Yeah. And it must have the
Take a
bonus tracks on it
bigger
because
dive.
Untitled Unissued is a bonus tracks edition. That's because they
And
were
if you can
originally
find
just
for a
called
decent
Untitled.
price, I mean,
Yeah.
you
So,
can't go wrong, really.
no, not at all. All right, back
No.
to Scott.
All right, sir. Okay, now for my SOT seal of approval pick. Gonna be about these guys. Motorhead.
Ah,
Here they are with
Motorhead.
all kinds of badass.
Hell yeah.
This is going to be specifically about the later version lineup of the band.
Oh,
I've dug them for quite a while. They were loud, they were fast, they were heavy as anything. I just always loved their energy and their intensity. But for most of that time, I mainly just listened to the albums of the classic early lineup with Lemmy, Fast Eddie Clarke on guitar, and Phil Filthy Animal Taylor on drums. Who doesn't love that lineup? It's a great lineup. But
classic.
since I started watching SOT, I have been acquiring more of their catalog, and they have a total of 22 studio albums. So it's taking. And I don't know how many live albums. I've got 5 of them, but that's a lot more than that.
or 423, I
Something
think.
like that. It's crazy. A few months ago, I realized I only had 3 left to go. And turns out those were the final 3. And I think I'd been maybe putting them off, so maybe subconsciously thinking, oh, they're getting old and they wouldn't sound as good. But I decided to go ahead and I pulled the trigger. And in the interest of completing the collection, of course, because
The curse is real.
it's real.
Oh, it's so real.
I was able to get all 3 of these from the same Discogs seller. World is Yours, 2010. And this one's got a nice little bonus live DVD with it. Aftershock 2013. This happens to be German tour edition with a live CD from 2014. And
They have a glare on the cover there. Holy
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
shave with that.
yeah, it's not
shit.
the standard cover for it. I mean, like I said, this is an
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's a nice little pickup there, right? Because not everybody has that version, including myself. So
Yeah, and their final one, Bad Magic 2015.
which is surprisingly really strong.
I like that.
Exactly.
Mhm.
That is my point here. I'm glad to say my fears were unfounded. This iteration of the band, guitarist and drummer Mickey D, were still kicking the ass as a band half their ages. And this particular lineup actually ended up being the longest lasting lineup that they had.
Mhm.
Hamill joined in '84. Mickey joined in 1992. While the band was a 4-piece, along with Wurzel. Wurzel left in '95, and the trio remained intact until Lemmy's death 20 years later. Yes, the 77-82 lineup, I would say, yeah, it's the best. But they were only together like 5 or 6 years, and the 95 to 2015 lineup, I would say, is a close second. They were still running like a well-oiled machine, and I'm very pleased with these. I'd say they're very worthy additions to the Motorhead collection. So if you ever thought about getting these, or maybe we're holding off, I would say they're definitely worth it. This does not sound like a band on its last legs at all.
No.
What's the cover on the last album? Symphony for the Devil? Is the Sympathy for the Devil on there?
Yeah, that's the last song on the album.
Shortly after that album, I heard it on a car commercial. I can't remember which one.
Yeah, you're right. I remember hearing that too.
Oh, that's depressing.
I know.
They're spreading the word.
How terribly American.
Well,
We suck.
What are you gonna do?
Cool. Well, I'm happy that you finished your Motorhead collection. That's very cool.
Oh yeah, and Pete, did you ever finish yours? Because I remember you did. I did watch your. I rewatched your ranking the albums, and you were missing a few. And
I'm still missing a couple of them. Yeah.
And
Send me a DVD.
I mean, I don't think they ever really did a terrible album, but you know, there's a couple that are a little less.
Well, they came close in the 90s, I'd say.
I'd say March or Die is probably their weakest.
But it has some good songs on it.
But I think they came from that weaker.
You're right, though. If you just stick to that fury and intensity, you can't go too far wrong from your own formula. You know?
Right. The only times I'm really not really on board with them is when they do something slower, and some heavy bands that can pull that off, but I don't know, they're one of them, you know.
Yeah, Motorhead's kind of like AC/DC. They're best when they're just kind of doing their thing, and that's what they do well.
You know? Yes. Agreed, and they do it so well.
Yeah, we don't need a concept album from them or prog. Well, we're not going to get anything from them these days, but
sadly, no.
Cool. All right, Armando.
Cool. Well, we're going to dive into the movie arena right now. From watching Monsters Den on a regular basis, they are an influence on me. A good influence. I wanted to dive into some Alfred Hitchcock. So I figured, just like with the Toto set, I thought instead of just buying maybe one or two, why not get a whole shitload of them? Some movies. So what I bought recently was the Alfred Hitchcock Ultimate Collection at the recommendation of Pete. This came out in 2017, according to Amazon release date. It's a collection of 15 Alfred Hitchcock movies, and this set also has 7 episodes of Alfred Hitchcock Presents. And the movies on here are, Psycho, Topaz, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Marnie, etc. And okay, I showed you the box. It comes with a booklet of the information. I can't really open the booklet because I have my hands don't work really well sometimes. But you also have, it comes in a book style format, right? We've I've watched the Byrds, like, my God, over 20 years ago on TV, and I never really delved into the movies, and we've only been able to watch 5 of them. We watched Psycho, Marnie, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Vertigo, and the Byrds. And
my dog is named Hitchcock.
Yep,
this is Hitchcock.
What's up, Hitch?
He's adorable. He's adorable. I gotta tell you, these movies, from what we've seen so far, are fantastic.
Oh yeah,
they are just, if you want to dive into or just get into Alfred Hitchcock, this is a fantastic place to start.
Wait till you watch Rear Window and North by Northwest.
Oh, Rear Window.
I mean,
Rear Window's so good, right?
What's inside doing over there? What's going on?
Yeah. To me, he uses it's.
Get down.
From the 5 we've seen, because again, there's 15 movies. You can't visually digest all of these movies properly. Like, you can't just do a marathon and get to know all of them verbatim. But from what I've seen, his use of suspense and just the suggestion of something about to happen, can't be matched. And this is a case of less is more in terms of his presentation, in terms of even his use of color, like even in the black and white movies, his use of, I call it light and shade, is just like, it can't be compared. I'm sorry. And there's even a quote on the back of the box here, quote, "Always make the audience suffer as much as possible," end quote. And that is Hitchcock for you.
Yep.
Absolutely.
In terms of price point, I was able to find this on Amazon for $79.
That's a good deal. Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
And again, you know what? For anyone out there that wants to dive into not necessarily horror, but suspense and thriller type of films, thrillers, This is the shit. You can't beat this.
Wait till you eventually, it's not on there, but eventually see Notorious.
Yeah, Notorious. I mean, Notorious had a bastardized ending, but even then, it's still a masterpiece.
And I love Lifeboat, which isn't on there.
Yes, well, we're discussing that separately for another idea for the dinner.
There's so many. Notorious is amazing.
Well,
I would tweak that box set a little bit. I mean, Family Plot, Topaz.
I love Family
Torn,
Plot.
Curtain,
Topaz isn't
Barney.
great.
Yeah.
Torn
I would
Curtain
have
isn't
put
great.
other ones in there.
Well, they can't.
What
about Shadow of a Doubt?
It's all, well, they're not Universal, so there's only so many that could be in that box.
Okay.
So Warner Archive have released like The Wrong Man, and they've released
You see, for me,
they've released 4 or 5 Stage Fright, ones like that.
Yeah, for me, this is all virgin territory. I've never dived into his movies as much as as with this set. And from what I'm seeing, I'm liking every single one of them. There is not one dud in the bunch. I mean,
yeah, I mean that might change when you get to Topaz.
Armando, this is a good other box set.
Yes,
3 films.
That's the MGM ones.
This has Notorious, Rebecca, and Spellbound.
There you go.
Yeah, because the one you have, I had the same thing. I have the big box set as well, and it's missing some stuff. So I went and finished up everything I needed. This is a good one to get 3 of them. And but what's interesting here is you get Rebecca and Spellbound. I have Notorious twice because I also have the Criterion of Notorious, which is fantastic.
That's the problem.
Get rid of that. So
the problem, the danger of it is, or the the pain in the ass of it is, some of these movies are repeated on different sets, right?
Yeah.
So you may get 2 movies that you don't have, but then you get one that you already have.
And now they're releasing them on 4K 4 at a time.
Yeah, well, you need to follow the film studio rather than the box set, because those are all MGM ones, and Criterion made the deal with MGM, and that's why Criterion have released all of those 3 that Pete just showed in Criterion collection format. But they will never release any of the ones that are in your box, Armando, until they have a Universal deal, which they don't have. So,
well, I mean, again,
or Warner Archive, because Warner ain't giving their stuff up.
Just in closing, from my presentation, for anyone who hasn't delved into Hitchcock, this is a good place to start, and for a reasonable price, for all that you get.
Yeah, there's that set, and then there's this one, and they're both almost identical. They both
I think they are. It's a repackage.
What is the difference?
I honestly,
it's a repackage. I don't think there's
I think it's basically the same, because I have.
They got one called The House of Hitchcock.
See,
and it's just
Pete, the book. See, it's the same thing.
So basically, Armando, I'll read you what I have on this. So here I have, let's see.
Sorry for showing my claws on TV, but there you go.
Saboteur, Shadow of the Doubt, Rope, Rear Window, The Trouble with Harry, The Man Who Knew Too Much, Vertigo, North by Northwest, Psycho, The Byrds, Marnie, Torn Curtain, Topaz Frenzy, and Family Plot. And then you also have various other things like The Master of Suspense, Hitchcock's Leading Men. These are documentaries.
Yeah.
Blondes, Edith Head, Saul Bass, Bernard Herrmann, The MacGuffin, and the Hitchcock cameos.
Yeah, you see, out of all of those movies that you just said, I think maybe only 2 of them are on that one that are not on this one that I have. So I mean, it just pays to pay attention and to sort of make sure you're not over repeating too much.
Yeah,
and
map it out.
And I went to a used store last month, and they had all his silent movies on a box set. $2. $2.
And those have
done. They probably
those are coming out.
But I got them.
Those are coming out from Kino Lorber in proper editions. So,
did he do a lot of silent movies?
Yeah.
Oh, he only did it before 42. Yeah. Thank you.
Anyways,
we can literally continue this rest of the show talking about Hitchcock. So we probably need to.
Hitchcock was like our longest show ever.
Hijacking the show. So
that's a good one where they look like they're in reels.
That's very cool.
Film real
your career.
Really?
But where do you put that on a shelf?
Well, this is your shelf. This is usually got pizza on top of it and beers.
You tempt me, Davey. What the hell, man?
That's very cool.
Well, the cool thing, Armando, is, do you know what this is? It's your set. That's what I'm saying. They just repackage it to make you go
Okay.
shiny, must buy,
it's
must
Blu-ray.
buy.
I know it's like, oh, it's all nice and shiny. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like
I mean,
That's the kind of set right there that most people would be like, I don't need that. But people who on this show who watch the show will be like, ooh.
On the Monsters Den, we just have a circle jerk over something like that. But
That and the House of Hitchcock are the two coolest.
did you?
Yeah.
You.
But look, you can literally use it to lean against. That's what I'm now doing, is just leaning on it.
In the house, you could literally live in it if you get thrown out of your house for buying too much shit.
Which you just might.
The homeless house of Hitchcock.
Luckily, I have a door opener. I can let myself back in if Bob tries to throw me out. Which
there you go.
I know a good motel if you need to stay somewhere.
I'm sure.
And before we move on to Jamie, I will say that if you, I have bought these Hitchcock films on VHS and DVD and now Blu-ray again. I will say they have done great jobs on the restoration on these old films. They look amazing in Blu-ray. So Armando, you're in for a treat as you kind of go through those films. They're just spectacular.
I am enjoying every single one of them so far. There's not been, again, a dud in a bunch so far. So.
And Armando, I will say, if you, like I said, that 3 disc collection that I just showed you, you really should put that on your wish list, but also get Strangers on a Train, which might be my favorite.
Yeah, with
all right.
That's a twisted film, man. That's really
with Farley Granger.
Farley Granger, yes, indeed, yeah.
No.
Who's also in Rope.
Yes.
Oh, that's another one. Rope. Is Rope on there?
Rope is great. Yeah, I love Rope.
Yeah, Rope's on there. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we can go all day.
I know we could just talk Hitchcock the rest of this hour. It's like crazy.
Call me after we're done. We'll continue.
All right, Jamie, what do you got last for today?
All right, I'm going to fly through these. I'm going to keep it in movies because it is October and I wanted to do something October themed. I got a lot of soundtracks on vinyl that are horror movies, so I'm going to go through them a couple seconds each and just show them. These are newer pressings. The Exorcist. These what is it, waxwork?
Oh, so if you Rich Catino,
yeah, you got Reagan there.
Hello.
And this is on blue vinyl.
Bloody hell.
I got Goblin Suspiria.
Oh, it's one of the best horror soundtracks ever.
Yes, I love to play this when it's free time. This is so cool. Hammer horror themes. Christopher Lee on the front, Peter Cushing on the back, and you got like the Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter, The Devil Rides Out, Dracula AD, The Taste of Blood of Dracula.
I need a bib right now. I'm doing
none of these are very scary though. None of the themes are very scary.
No, because James Bernard was a great classical composer.
Right. And Dracula AD 1972 sounds like the beginning of like a 1970s cop show.
Yeah, it's like
or a porn movie.
One of my favorite scores of all time of any genre, right up there, Star Wars and Conan the Barbarian. If you like prog rock, just give this a try. I also got it on cassette. I also got it on CD.
Oh, of course.
Well, I don't have to explain
any
why.
track on that too.
No, you don't have to explain that. We told
got
you.
my new Steelbook. From Best Buy, because my Best Buy still sells movies.
Not mine.
I got Planet Terror on white vinyl. I got The Fly on green vinyl. It's kind of 3D.
It's 1986 Fly.
It's hard to see.
Yeah.
I got the other day still on it.
Gee, I think I'm turning into some kind of fly.
Yeah.
Army of Darkness. Love this score because I always said it's a character. The score is a character in the movie because the score is so overly done and so heroic sounding.
Yes,
that it's like the score that Ash thinks he deserves.
Yes, it's
so the score is kind of giving you a wink and a nudge in itself.
Yeah,
and that's why it's perfect.
It is great when the soundtrack is synonymous with the film. Like you can't imagine the film without the soundtrack, right?
Yes.
It's like
what would be Jaws without the da 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 da?
Yeah.
Star Wars.
And without the Imperial March, Evil Dead 2.
Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
With
nice.
And then in the back, you're gonna love the back.
I do miss the skeleton with the eyeballs, though. That's always the dead poster for me.
My favorite soundtrack was songs. You know, not including scores. From Dusk Till Dawn,
Yeah.
And that they really did a nice job on this. I forget who did this. And it's numbered. And then in the middle,
Santiago Pandemonium herself.
There you go.
Selma.
And it's on blood splattered vinyl.
Of course.
Double.
It wouldn't be complete without it.
That is one of my favorite movies of the 90s. Oh yeah. Jerry Goldsmith.
Original Omen.
Jerry Goldsmith.
Original Damien Omen 2.
Bloody hell.
Wow, you went off. Holy cow.
Got Return of the Living Dead.
Oh, I love Return of the Living
29
Dead.
Dracula, John Williams.
Yeah, Franklin Gallagher.
I didn't know that was John Williams.
Franklin Oh my god.
There you go on 4K.
Oh, yeah.
I got the
I almost
poster.
pulled the trigger on that. Almost pulled the trigger. And then you got a movie that I always loved the poster. Did not like the movie when I saw it when I was 15. So just last night I watched it again. Maybe I'm older, wiser. Maybe I'll like it because it gets good reviews online. Watched it, didn't make it to the end. Still hate it.
Can't see it,
It does
Jamie.
have good makeup effects though in it.
the wolf
is great when the guy's ripping off the flesh. But
what was it? Sorry, I couldn't see for the glare.
I couldn't see it either.
Company of Wolves.
Oh, Company of Wolves. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Company of Wolves.
Okay.
Love the poster, the artwork. And I saw this one day last October and I had to have it. I was walking in a record store. The soundtrack score to Silver Bullet on cassette.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you never see anything like that, I grabbed it. It was like
Is Company of Wolves, isn't Angela Lansbury in that?
yes. And she
and
is
David
old
Warner
as hell in that movie, and it's from 1984. So my God, she lived a long time.
Yeah, she was still doing the TV show back then.
She was a class act. She was a class act.
So rest in peace, Angela Lansbury and David Warner, two greats that we've lost.
Just a few days shy of 97.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's quite the haul, Jamie. Very cool.
Holy shit, Jamie. I'm coming over to your place for
Rich Catino, if you're watching this show, I know you're going to be going on Waxworks and spending some cash because he loves
he knows all about it.
Yeah.
He knows all about it.
Pete, I'm not sure Rich is actually aware you have a YouTube channel.
He may not be. I don't know. All right, Nick, your final stuff for today.
All righty. I got to get going to work soon, but I'm going to make it worth everyone's time. So the last one I showed, I forgot to mention the YouTube channel, was Now Spinning Magazine with Phil Aston. So that's pretty much like I watched Sea of Tranquility for the musical discussion. I watched that one for the visual porn, pretty much. We'll see what the YouTube titles say about that. So one, as you know, I've been acquiring concerts a lot. So I'm going to show here quickly. Hang on, gosh darn it, 520 according to my Excel sheet. And somewhere thanks to you, Pete. And one of them that I found is Clearing the Eye.
ISIS?
Yeah,
it's a certain schmuck terrorist organization. I'm just either going to say ISIS or is. So, who is actually the Egyptian goddess of fertility. And you can imagine what that considers. So it's like
wasted in this house.
Yeah. The post sludge atmosphere was genre was founded by Neurosis in 1992. Their most famous, the album I have by them is Through Silver and Blood. These are like songs that are anywhere between 10 minutes, 8 to 10 minutes, sometimes with droning sounding guitars that create this environment that it's like you just want to tune the world out and you just want to forget about everything. You put on Clearing the Eye. And so they have so this like 5-piece band was not exactly death metal vocals or dogs barking, but more like I'm going to mow my lawn. And played some of the political themes about relationships, life, hopelessness. If you want to get a little bit misanthropic, at the same time, feel like I say, if you want to tune out the world, you can just watch them. They have songs, Glisten, Wait, Celestial. They have like a 10-minute song and they have like just 2 lines of lyrics. That's about it, which I forgot. But it's more like of an experience where you just sit back, you watch this dimly lit stage and you're like, okay, so we got this slow build up, kind of like how if King Crimson took acid and just did a more extreme version. If they got mixed with like what is that, grindcore, except they made the songs longer, and you would pretty much have that just version. Another very famous band, it would be also Cult of Luna, that I have a DVD of somewhere I need to watch. So you got your liner notes. You get song information about all the songs and everything. We got the lyrics, which I'm going to CFT, the black hole sees light, grinning mouse, magistrate stream of plague, tongues loll in anticipation. You are awake in their darker visions. Drool slips from grinning mouths. The plague is forced on us all. Is it there? Are they there? Shouts of fact abound, but whispers of truth burn through. Is it there? Are they there? So it makes you question stuff, and it's like it's almost like a journey with the lights and everything else. It really is it's when you have to sit back and watch. You can't throw it on and put like, oh, I don't know, Destruction on, and you drink beers and you're like, fuck yeah, man. No, it's just more of a you sit back and you relax, like, you know, when you're feeling reflective or something like that. And and I do want to comment one last thing. I was actually listening to the Fall of the House of Usher when I was doing a 2-hour workout. Boy, that was something else. But anyway, yeah. So if you can find this, I found this online, Discogs, like $20 or something like that. It broke up in 2010. And if you can find it, it's a trip. It really, really is a trip.
Yeah, their albums are interesting. I haven't listened to them in ages. But
yeah,
never heard of them.
It's in the eye.
Yeah, I'm on. They're kind of like like an atmosphere, kind of like sludge band, sort of.
Okay.
It's hard to really describe what they're like. They've got like extreme vocals, but their music is not a full-on like assault. It's very atmospheric and spacey. It's kind of like post-rocky. It's kind of like sludge. It's got hardcore elements. They're really, really different. Really different. The Cult of Luna thing is kind of interesting to bring them up, because I would say they're kind of like some of their music is like a cross between Neurosis and Cult of Luna. I would absolutely say that. Maybe early Mastodon and spots, like the first Mastodon album or two. Yeah, they're a very cool band. So I didn't even know they broke up. I just lost track. So interesting.
Oh, cool. All right.
So I gotta get to work, everyone. Sorry to interrupt. I do have one more DVD I'm either going to put on my review channel on Nicky Sofian, which I need to upload stuff. Devin Townsend by a Thread. I paid over $200 for it. It's pretty out of print. 4 performances, 4 days from 4 different albums. So they'll probably be on the next episode. So with that, thank you for your time, everyone. Rock on.
Saves the good stuff for his own show.
Well,
I see what's going on.
Who would do such a thing?
I see.
All right, take care.
Not you, David.
All right, Nick. See you.
Bye, Nick.
Bye.
Davey, take us out with your last one.
Alfred Hitchcock in 19... No, we're not going to do Hitchcock again.
Get your own material, Davey.
Hey, who did a Hitchcock series on their own channel way back when?
I still think I have my props available upstairs.
Get your own material, David. That's all I'm gonna
closet.
I had a series before you even saw Hitchcock.
That was the most work I've ever put into any thing ever.
Waiting.
I like the compilation DVD to follow on from Nick's DVD pick. A bit like a few months ago when I picked the Old Grey Whistle Test. Sometimes I quite like it when you can do a kind of various artists thing, and it feels like you can just sit and watch. It's almost like the radio, but you are sitting watching a live concert and you don't quite know who's coming up next. So this is Amnesty International's released the Human Rights Concerts, 86 to 98. And if you know the kind of people that are involved in that, it is 6 DVDs and it is absolutely jam-packed. It's about 12 hours long. And it's got people who skip Peter, Paul and Mary, for goodness sake, come on. 1986, I don't need Peter, Paul and bloody Mary. Puff their own magic dragon. But you do get, there's Joan Armatrading, Jackson Brown, the Neville brothers. You get, what are you, what's up with you?
Nothing.
I think that frog that showed up on Thursday night moved up to Canada, Davey, I think.
Exactly.
You get Joan Baez coming out and blah blah blah, but then Lou Reed comes out to do a whole greatest hits set. Peter Gabriel comes out, and this is 1986, so we're talking the height of like soul era Peter Gabriel. So he comes out and does Red Rain, Shock the Monkey, Family Snapshot, Sledgehammer, San Jacinto, Biko. Then I do apologize to the viewers for mentioning this, but Bryan Adams does come out as well. But
he's got some decent.
It's 1986, Bryan Adams, so I'll let him away with it. He killed double denim for a whole generation. Joni Mitchell comes out. The Police, the Police do a greatest hits set, which is just before they split up. It's one of the last concerts they played, and this is still on disc too. Soon Tracy Chapman by the 1988 one does like basically half of her first debut album, which is
fantastic.
The only Tracy album you ever need, to be honest. But
Crossroads is good.
Peter Gabriel comes back, and now he's working with Youssou N'Dour, and they do different tracks like In Your Eyes that had now become hits from Soul. Sting comes on because the Police have now split up, and Sting, no joke, joins the E Street Band for a couple of tracks because he's not got his own pickup band. So Sting leads the E Street Band in Every Breath You Take, which is just
Really?
but then Bruce comes out and punches him out the way, thank goodness. And we get Born in the USA, I'm on Fire, The River, Raise Your Hand, Twist and Shout, La Bamba, and then a whole big ensemble of Bruce Springsteen, Sting, Peter Gabriel, Youssou N'Dour, and Tracy Chapman do Chimes of Freedom and Get Up, Stand Up. God, can you imagine how insufferable those conversations must be, though, with Bruce, Sting, Peter Gabriel, and God, we're so wonderful. We've saved so many lives. We're so great. Right on, yeah. But all in a good cause. And again, that's only halfway through. So you get to 1919. I won't go through everything. But Sinead O'Connor shows up, and she's doing duets with Peter Gabriel, and she does like Nothing Compares to You and stuff like that. Jackson Browne's back, because by that point you could hire him for £25. Sting's back, but then you start to get different acts. Although, funnily enough, Peter Gabriel and Bruce Springsteen are both back. I think they must have quite believed in Amnesty International somehow. But then Alanis Morissette joins them when we get through to the 90s. Shania Twain, back when she was still okay, before she turned into that kind of wannabe Madonna. And Robert Page and Jimmy Plant. Robert Page and Jimmy Plant.
Oops.
I like that. That's cool.
The tribute act to Zed Leplin.
We don't edit on this show.
No, we don't.
We do not. I don't edit.
Heroic, whatever.
The mistakes are the best part. The mistakes are what people enjoy. But they come out, the real Page and Plant, not the fake one that I was talking about there. They come out and do When the World Was Young, Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, Gallows Pole, and Rock and Roll. So you're getting them in the kind of no quarter era, the walking in
Clarksdale, yeah.
Clarksdale. Mm-hmm. Springsteen comes back and does No Surrender, Born in the USA, Working on the Highway. Radiohead, to go back to what Scott mentioned earlier, they came out, and this is 1998, so OK Computer's riding high, so they've got Karma Police and Paranoid Android and stuff. Peter Gabriel's back doing a duet with Youssou N'Dour on 7 Seconds. And then for this version, you get, when it was released, some more contemporary performers doing stuff as well. Bono does a duet with Damien Rice on Walk On. Green Day do Working Class Hero. Green Day covering John Lennon,
That frog again.
Fuck, never mind the frog. That's just the dry heave, that.
I thought something was going to come out.
Green Day covering John Lennon, that's enough to give anybody the heave-ho. Coldplay on it, so I do have to apologise to people. Coldplay, I'm recommending something that Coldplay do have one track on. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. But
you're forgiven, Davey.
But then Seal comes out and does a duet with Jeff Beck on Like a Rolling Stone, and it's just absolutely amazing.
I do
amazing.
I do like that.
David Byrne does One Fine Day. Evan Rachel Woods, more noted as an actress, does I'd Have You Anytime, the George Harrison track. Joe Perry does Man of Peace. Ozzy Osbourne does Children of the World and Imagine. don't want to hear Ozzy doing Imagine. No.
Beatles fan, though.
And then the last track on it, and God, he must have been older than Angela Lansbury, is 2012. Pete Seeger does Forever Young. Pete Seeger in 2012. They must have had to dig him up. He must have been the ghost of Pete Seeger. But
he went for a long time. Yeah,
he did. I mean, it wasn't probably any drinking
I
drugs.
think he performed up to the end.
So
he did Forever Young and died the next day.
Forever Young. A bit of an irony in that one for Pete to cover that. But this is a phenomenal set of just, you get to hear performers of the 70s and 80s kind of at their peak doing them live then, and a lot of them don't have great concert films of that era. I mean, Peter Gabriel does, but it was recorded in Greece the next year, so it's not recorded the year like when he's just making So. This is recorded when So's just been cut. The E Street Band, just as Born in the USA had come out, not the next year. So I mean, it's just a wonderful document full of great stars, and also Coldplay and Green Day. But yeah, and probably a little bit too much, a little bit too much Sting for most people. But it's a great cause. Obviously, it's Amnesty International. All proceeds, if you buy it new, do go to Amnesty, as you'd imagine. And yes, so the Human Rights Concerts, 86 to 98, 6 DVD set. 16 and a half hours of live performances. So, including from Jimmy Plant and Robert Page.
Nice.
They were the warm-up act.
Yes. Yeah, they never took off, Armando. They were rubbish.
That is a massive set, though, David. That's fantastic, actually.
Yeah, six discs. So, although you can get it a bit cheaper using you, come on, guys. If you can cough up a little bit for Amnesty, do so. Oh God, I've turned into Sting. Oh, for fuck. Oh.
All right, my final picks of the day here. In recent months, I have been looking to increase my collection of the Dick's Picks live album.
Grateful Dead.
So I already had a couple of them. I mean, there's a million of them, right? So I'm not going to get them all, obviously, but I've been trying to do some research on what are some of the most highly recommended of them. So I got 3 of them recently. So one of them is Volume 4. This was recorded at the Fillmore East, February 13th through 14th, 1970, right here. So again, this is the early band, right? This is the Pigpen lineup. So this has got tracks like, and a lot of extended stuff on here, like Love Light, and that's it for the other one. Take up all of disc 2. You've got a, Casey Jones, Dance in the Street, China Cat Sunflowers on here, a lengthy Dark Star. We Bid You Good Night, Not Fade Away. A lot of really good stuff on here. It's a really good recording.
Yeah.
For me, anything from the Fillmore East is extra.
Yes,
I'm a New Yorker. Yeah. It's a legendary venue here in New York, and I don't think I've ever heard a bad recording from the Fillmore East from this time period. So, and I know the Dead played there all the time, along with the Allman Brothers Band. There's lots of these recordings floating around. So this is quite good, and this is probably a really, really good companion to the Grateful Dead Live, that original album they released, which was from the Fillmore West, right? So that's the one I highly recommend. This one's really good too. This is Volume 8. This was taken from Harper College, Binghamton, New York, May 2nd, 1970. Nice packaging. I love the packaging of this is kind of the early Dick's Picks are really plain.
They're about as generic as you can get.
I know, right? So this is kind of nice. So this, they all come in these big, thick 3-disc sets. This is really good. Same lineup. So obviously this was only 2 months later. So you get some of the same songs. You get Candyman's on here, Black Peter. You got a nice Dire Wolf on here. Saint Stephen and Critical Envelopment is terrific on here. You get lots of drum solos. It's a Man World, Dance in the Streets on here. Again, a really good Morning Dew. This is very good, also really good sounding here. So that's another one from 1970. And then the last one I got from 1977. And this is from another historic venue from California, Winterland Arena, December 20, 1977, Volume 10.
Another Bill Graham place to
run. Exactly. And so this is a later lineup, right? So obviously we're going later in the 70s. So here you got a tremendous Jack Straw. You got Tennessee Jet on here. Sugary is on here. China Doll's on here.
Yeah.
Playing in the band is terrific on here. China Cat Sunflower. You got Terrapin Station on here, which is really good.
That bib, I'm telling you.
St. Stephen, Sugar Magnolia, Eyes of the World is on here. Estimated Profit, really good disc 3 on here. This might even be my favorite of the 3 because, again, I have lots of live Dead stuff from like 1970, 71, but this is like one of the few that I have from later in the decade. So this is really good. Different lineup, different flavor here. This is one of those concerts too where Garcia is playing that kind of like skeleton guitar that he pulls out. I forget, it was like a custom made guitar. His guitar tone is really, really different on this. It's really good. So yeah, those are my 3 Dick's picks from the Grateful Dead.
Yeah, I think they got up to about 50 volumes.
I don't know. There's so many. You can go down a complete rabbit hole with this stuff.
Dick died. He died. And then it's somebody else that does it now, and they started all over again. It's called, I don't know, Dave's Raids or something. It's got a different name, but it's essentially the same thing. But Dick was the guy who did the Grateful Dead.
Yeah. Well, there's also the one from the vault, 2 from the vault. There's just tons of stuff.
Yeah, and there's just the general. Here's an 8-disc version of Europe '72.
Exactly, they keep coming out with these. It's crazy.
And Stephen Wilson announced a few weeks ago that he's going to be working on the catalog going forward.
Oh my God!
He should have been working on that Queen re-release.
Yeah. Stephen Wilson's just branching out to all sorts of stuff. I could just imagine how the Grateful Dead albums would sound remixed by him. Especially, I think he's starting on the early '70s albums first, right?
Yes. He's doing American Beauty and Working Man's Dead, I think. First.
Yeah.
Hey, where did you get those? If you don't mind me asking.
These I ordered on eBay. Each one of them. I might have gotten one of them on Discogs, and they're roughly, Armando, if you're going to get some of these, they're going to run you anywhere between $25 and $40 US for the most part. Because you're buying them, you're buying
a little higher than that.
They do.
You got to really look around because I've set myself like a limit of how much I'm going to spend on any of these. So these 3 are, like I said, like $35 to $45.
If you could please send me those names, please.
I'll do that. I have a couple too.
I liked one show of the Grateful Dead that I've heard or seen. It really wasn't the Grateful Dead. It was like 8 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. They played
the Phil Lesh thing,
and they had Trey Anastasio on guitar, and he added that thing that I always needed by them. That a little bit more grit, some more power chords, and I had a blast. I watched it on here, and I had a beach ball. I was by myself.
There you go. Well, at least you got the So cool. So there you have it, everybody. Another month of Curse of the Collector. Some cool stuff here today. If you have any questions about any of these items, put them down in the comments below. We'll be sure to go check those out and answer any questions you might have. And if you are watching and you picked up some really cool things out there in the wild, let us know what you purchased down in the comments below, and we'll see you next month here for another episode, and hopefully we'll have some more fun stuff for you. So take care, everybody. Before I say goodbye to everybody, visit us on the web at www.seaoftranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, all together, all the damn time. Now I'll say goodbye to everybody. For Scott Perry, Jamie Laszlo, Armando Venditti, Nick Usofian, and David Gallagher, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. We'll see you later on. Take care. Bye-bye.